too noisy to do this up here. I think I need a quieter place. Okay. This seems quiet enough. Oh, fuck, it's hot in here. Cool. This is a lot like an ASMR video. I heard you could not sleep. So tonight I'm going to give you some very nice tingles. Are you ready for some nice tingles? Alright, I just got some notes here, because I can't remember all the fucking shit I want to talk about. It's all about this one family trying to get by after the apocalypse from these creatures, and these creatures will go after anything that makes a sound. They use their hearing to hunt, basically. So these people can live and have a decent life, but they can't fucking make any noise. If you drop something, that thing will hear it. So it's really fucked up. There was like, I think, one or two things that threw me out of the movie, but there's a lot of fun ideas in there. Like, how do you get around? How do you live when you're not allowed to make a lot of noise ever? What things can't you do? What things do you have to do? How do you farm? It's got this amazing intro where the family is, there's this little boy. He's like really small. He's like 6 years old or younger than that. And I guess they're going out to go get him some medicine. And they have to kind of like constantly watch him so he doesn't knock something over. What I liked about it a lot was that it was really, really cinematic. Like, you couldn't really write that scene in a book. You have to see it in a movie for it to be effective like that. And it's using all the elements of film in a very creative way. It's not often that sound design gets to sort of be right at the forefront of the film. That's not like a great horror film. But what it is something that's kind of rare these days, which is just a really, really good blockbuster movie. It's exactly what I wanted from this kind of movie, you know? It's exactly what most people want from this kind of movie. It's a cool idea, and it's fun. I really appreciate that the movie just basically skipped the world is ending thing. It could have very easily opened with a bunch of news snippets. It just went straight into the action, straight into the movie, into the story, and you had to learn how the world ended through bits of information here and there. It doesn't follow all of those conventions that people are sick of. Alright. One thing that was kind of funny to me was when I went to see the movie, I went in totally blind. I didn't watch a single trailer. I didn't look anything up. I didn't know anything about the movie. And I found myself looking at John Krasinski, who's the main actor. And I was looking at his character and I was like, this movie really makes John Krasinski look good. I could see why he took this role. This is a good look for him, you know? You couldn't write a better role if you were writing it yourself. And then I found out the movie is written by John Krasinski and directed by John Krasinski. It was a short story by two guys. John Krasinski wrote the script. It kind of borders on Tommy Wiseau territory, like Tommy Wiseau thing, making himself look good and just using a movie to make himself look good. But it's not so bad. I like that character in the movie. He's not an especially flawed character. Instead of being a realistic character, he's kind of a role model character. Also kind of adds an interesting layer to the movie. It's John Krasinski and his real life wife, Emily Blunt. They really are married. I can see a little bit of an ego thing to it. Because it's a good movie, you can kind of give it a pass on that thing. It steers clear of being an ego project. It heads a little bit more in the direction of just being a good personal project.
To me, this whole movie's about family. We had actually just had our second daughter 3 weeks before I read the first script. And so I was a wide open vessel of tension, fear, and all the other things that new parents go through.
Even though I really liked the intro, it was really weirdly kind of stilted. When they left that convenience store, they wanted to get some supplies, and when they left that store, they stood in a group. They were standing in a group, and they left one at a time, one person at a time. And the last person to leave was the youngest kid. If you know that there's these creatures, and you know that there's stuff in the shop that makes a big fucking noise, why do you just expect your kid to follow you out and not watch them? It just seemed funny to me, weird. The pacing of that was kind of awkward. That girl who's kind of deaf, who's got that hearing aid thing, every time they cut to her, it's like pure silence. And they did it like 3 times. Why do you need to do that 3 times? I saw the first time you did it. I get that she's deaf, she can't hear. Why do you need to do it 2 more times? There's one thing in the movie that almost ruined it for me. And it's the very, very end of the movie. I won't spoil it yet, but it almost ruined the whole thing. That almost spoiled the entire thing. I'm gonna get into spoilers now. If you wanna skip the spoilers, go to this time code. Spoilers. Skip it. Basically, the ending is John Krasinski sacrifices himself to save the kids. The girl figures out that if she plugs in her hearing aid, sometimes it acts up and it makes this high-pitched whining noise. And that's the one weakness for these creatures. And that was the stupidest thing in the entire film. You kind of gather through the movie, the newspaper clippings and stuff like that, that these creatures are invincible. Nobody knows a way to destroy these things. Nobody knows how to kill them. They're indestructible. And you're telling me no army in the world, no person, no scientist figured out that the way to kill these creatures with super strong hearing is a very loud, very high frequency sound. They have weapons that use sound to immobilize people. Those weapons exist. And nobody thought to use those weapons on these creatures. That's their weakness, is weapons that we actually have that just nobody thought about using. And by the way, they can also be killed with shotguns. I'm really struggling to figure out how these things took over the world. You know, how did they overrun the entire planet? They get their weapons ready, and then the movie ends, a hard cut to black. It's just so disappointing. A lot of little issues of the movie that are very, very easy to look past because it's just so much fun. But that one is just too difficult to look past. I can't look past that one. John Krasinski, you fucked up. That scene where she's about to give birth is fucking amazing. This is what mainstream Hollywood should be, is cool, fun movies like this. I don't want to give this movie a hard time for the flaws. Should you see this movie, I would say some tapping sounds for you guys. Cheers. It was a good chat.
Thanks a lot. Bye.